One. Hey, welcome once again to another episode of B&B Vancouver Canuck Hockey Talk, our special Friday edition. I'm your host, Aaron Blocks, with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Friday, January the 18th, the Canucks, believe it or not, are still in the playoff hunt. Nobody would have thought that, I don't think, right now. But, man, the West is absolutely crammed. Minnesota's sitting 1 point ahead of Edmonton, Anaheim, and Vancouver, with St. Louis and Arizona only 4 points back for that last wild card. But a couple games since we last talked, Matt. Tonight they play the Buffalo Sabres. They're at home, and it's finally Demko time.
Yes, man, I cannot wait to see him tonight. I've been going all in that it's like, hey, it's Demko time. You got to get him up. You got to play him. And it was going to be interesting to see when they were going to play him with all the spaced out schedule. I thought they would actually wait until Detroit, but it's interesting that you'll be going up against a pretty good Sabres team tonight.
Yeah, and my original thought was he was going to play on Sunday against the Detroit Red Wings, but they're slipping him in today against the Buffalo Sabres. Going to be great to finally see what he can bring to this team. And maybe the quietest acquisition the Canucks made in the offseason was not a player, but a coach in Ian Clarke. What has he done for both not only Demko, but for Jacob Markstrom's game?
Yeah, so Jacob Markstrom since December 1st is 10-3-2 with a .926 save percentage and a 2.11 goals against average. I was at the game against the Oilers on Wednesday, and he had another great game, especially some of those, like he had one great breakaway stop at the end of the first period on Ryder, and in overtime when they were going back and forth, made a couple great saves there in overtime. To keep the Canucks in it. And then he had that great shootout save against Nugent Hopkins, where he sort of went like in the scorpion and got his foot up to make the save. And then going to Demko, we'll see tonight what exactly Clarke's been helping him out since being called up. But yeah, it's basically he's done everything he can in the American Hockey League, and it's time to finally get him in net and show what he can do in the NHL.
Markstrom, of course, made a huge save in overtime on a breakaway from Draisaitl as well. The game against Florida, Markstrom looked great. Florida pulled the goalie, and he did something I would love to see any Vancouver goalie do when you're up by 2. He tried to go over the empty net. Do you think that's pushing it or adding more fuel to the fire to that Florida game? Because, yeah, we talked about the Florida game a little bit. About no balls Matheson there, but for you as a goalie, do you think teams get angry when somebody tries to do something like that?
No, I wouldn't think so. Like the score was 3-1 at that time, so if you get the chance, go for it, because if something bad does happen and they end up scoring, well, you still got a 1-goal lead at the time, So yeah, if you get that chance, you go all in, and I think any other team, if their goalie had a chance to put the puck in the net, I think everybody would be pretty pumped. And to add on to that Matheson thing, I'm not sure if you saw the Max Domi stuff when Florida was playing Montreal. And Domi actually called him out in the penalty box, saying like, "Oh, I saw you play last game, and I know what you are," to put it in the polite terms in what exactly he said. But yeah, it is funny that from guys around the NHL, especially an East Coast team watching a West Coast team like that with the time difference, they know what's up with opposition. So that. With Matheson not dropping the gloves, that's going to follow him around for a little bit here now.
Yeah, especially if Domi's calling him out on it. But the Canucks, once again, against the Oilers, healthy scratch, Nikolai Goldobin, who's still, by the way, the 4th leading scorer on this team. What are your comments and thoughts on this? Like, is this just really tough love on one player, because Travis Green said not every player gets treated the same way. And I remember he was very much like this on Jake Virtanen in Utica. He was like this on Ben Hutton all last year. And Goldobin seems to be his whipping boy this year. But each year after that, they seem to come out much better players.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, I still don't understand why he's being like this tough on Goldobin. Like, I think I saw somebody tweet out, it's just like, well, Goldobin gets benched for taking bad penalties, and then you see Eriksson take that delay a game penalty against the Oilers, and the Canucks end up getting scored on. And then on the disallowed goal against the Oilers where Hutton scored, you see Virtanen not go hard to the bench, and he sort of coasts, and that costs them a goal there. It's just like if Godolin's doing that, you're pretty sure he's getting benched as well for making that play. So that's just the one thing. It's just like everybody's going to make mistakes and stuff, and especially like I think for him is just working on his shot and just trying to get some more goals now. Like I guess that's going to be like the one thing that's going to change everything, I guess, because once when you start putting the puck in net, like you look at Marcus Granlund, I know we harp on him, but he's got 8 goals now, and Godolin's still at 5 on the season. So, but yeah, it's just like he just got to produce offensively. Like I saw, he's 13 goals or 13 games without a goal, and 1 goal and 6 points in his last 18. And that's all since December 4th. But yeah, and as you brought up, he's still 4th on the team in points. So it just shows it's just like, even though he hasn't been producing as much, well, nobody else really has either. So yeah, it's just some tough love right there.
If you've watched the Ben Hutton mic'd up episode on the Canucks channel on YouTube, he calls Granlund the Granimal. It's a unique nickname there. I actually liked it. It was kind of funny and fitting. But Canucks make a trade during the game, which surprised a lot of people, shipping off seldom used defenseman Michael Del Zotto to the Anaheim Ducks, basically for a 7th round pick. They got Luke Schenn as well, who's already going to be on the Utica Comets, helps them out with some defenseman depth with all their injuries. But the neat thing is it frees up almost $3 million in cap space on the Canucks roster. Is this a good move, or is this just a lukewarm move for you?
Yeah. So I'm fine with it because at least we get a draft pick. I know it's in the 2020 draft and not this year's draft, but it is a draft pick nonetheless, and especially for a guy that's on an expiring contract. It's nice that you can get something back for him, and at least Jim Benning is getting draft picks back for players, which was a thing that we were harping on him a lot, especially at last year's trade deadline, not getting any draft picks for Thomas Vanek. But yeah, that's
Tyler Mott for Vanek though. So
yeah, but still, it's a 4th line player, even though he actually has had a decent year. But he'd still rather get a draft pick back, nonetheless. But yeah, it's like I'm happy we got a draft pick. Utica has been dealing with a lot of injuries on the back end, so that's where Luke Schenn's going to come in, and it also frees up a roster spot for when Pettersson comes off injured reserve.
And in fairness to Tyler Mott there, I mean, having a roster player come back for somebody that can just walk off your team at the end of the year for nothing, I think is good value. For me, they get a player back. I heard rumors and rumblings that there was 3 or 4 teams that were also interested in Del Zotto. Is it possible the Canucks left something on the table and could have got something more for him, or do you think they did a pretty good job getting what they got?
Yeah, just just the way that Del Zotto played last year is like, I know he played all 82 games, which is still remarkable that he was able to play all 82 games with how bad he was. But actually, like technically this year, if you take out like that dumb penalty that he took against the Montreal Canadiens, like he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. But like if you look at a guy like Derek Pouliot, where it's just like you just watch him, it's just like how has this guy gone from being like a decent defenseman from last season to being this bad last year? It's just like all you have to do is put a little pressure on him, and he's throwing the puck up the middle of the ice or some other turnover. It's just it was bad, but it's just like for being a healthy scratch for basically the whole second half of this the second half of this first half of the season. And he did a good job of not complaining or anything. So I think it was just good that the Canucks were able to find him a spot where he can maybe get some playing time, like with Anaheim Ducks, where they just went through like that 12-game losing streak. Like they have their top 4 defensemen, but then they're pretty young on their bottom pairing. So with him, he'll bring some veteran leadership to that bottom pairing there.
Absolutely. Sorry to see him go, but the Canucks are in a rebuild, and I'm still curious to see what they do this year. I think this year might be make or break for their free agency or moves that they decide to make. So let's talk about some of the younger prospects for the Canucks. I know in Vancouver here, the Vancouver Giants are playing, I believe it's the Prince Albert Raiders and Jet Wu or Moose Jaw Warriors, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Moose Jaw, and then Prince Albert's coming.
Yeah, and I believe Spokane. They're playing Spokane tonight, but tomorrow they're playing the Moose Jaw Warriors, and Vancouver Canucks prospect Jet Wu will be playing in that game. 37 games, 37 points. Not bad for defensive defenseman. Pretty mobile and very physical defenseman. What do you like about him? And how long do you think until he's in a Vancouver uniform?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if they get him to an entry-level deal at the end of the season. Just the way, like, he's still 18 years old, 8 goals, 37 points, point-a-game player for a big physical defenseman as well. So it's like last year, like the first half of the season, he was really offensive, and then he got injured and then came back in a more defensive role, and his points really diminished. But this year, he's really stepped it up this year, and it's really good to see a big right-handed defenseman that's able to put points up like that, especially with like our right-hand side. Like you'd want to eventually replace Goodbranson with somebody. And Stetcher's a really good defenseman, but he's still a bit on the smaller side. And Chanev's getting up there in age as well. So we need some younger guys on the right-hand side, because we got Hughes Goldobin coming up on that left-hand side. And it's nice to know that we got somebody on the right-hand side of the prospects coming up.
Yeah, and of course you had a note as well on Quinn Hughes and Michigan State.
Yeah, so Michigan State, they got some tough news. Their top center, Josh Norris, had a season-ending injury. So it looks like it'll probably be sorry about that. It looks like Hughes will sign towards the end of the season, just because losing your top centerman, that won't do well for once when they get to their playoffs and stuff. So I would expect Hughes to sign and get into some games, sort of like the way Brock Besser did when his season was done, to get in a few games with the Canucks.
Down in Utica, Gaudette gets another goal. Cole Lynn starting to score finally. Jonathan Dahlen's been on a tear lately. Why don't you update us on some of the stuff that's happening on the farm? And then we'll finish off with some of the main team.
All right, yeah. So Adam Gaudette and Cole Lind were playing on a line together. Cole Lind is really starting to step it up. He scored his first career goal last game, and he had another one today so far. So he's up to 2 goals and 8 points in 27 games. But most of that has basically come pretty recently. And Adam Gaudette's up to 5 goals, 9 points in 8 games. And Jonathan Dahlen is up to 11 goals, 22 points in 39 games. So guys are starting to heat up down there, especially with seeing some of the younger guys starting to play on lines together. That's exactly what you want to see if you're a Canucks fan, seeing these young guys play together and start to produce. So Cole Lind is the guy I'm really pumped to see get going, just because like the way that he played in Kelowna last year, where he just absolutely ripped it up. It's finally nice to see that him start to get some success down in the American League after dealing with an injury and then a very slow start after that.
By the way, what did you think of those jerseys that Utica was wearing the other night, the black ones with the green?
Yeah, sort of like the glow in the dark sort of looking jerseys. Yeah, I actually don't mind them because it's sort of like the Tampa Bay Lightning sort of thing, or like I know like Ben Bishop, he had like that glow in the dark mask sort of thing. And I forget if Demko, I forget if they wore those last year as well. But yeah, they are some cool looking jerseys.
Tanner Kiro actually gets called up. Do you think he'll get any playing time at all?
No, I think it was more of a precaution. Bo Horvat took a hit late in the third period by Zach Cassian, sort of a Charlie horse. I think watching the game, he was pretty slow and in a lot of pain getting to the bench. But he ended up playing in overtime. So I think it was just more of a precaution if Horvat wasn't going to be able to play tonight. But Horvat will be in the lineup tonight, which is good news for the Canucks, because if we didn't have Pettersson and Horvat in the lineup, it'd be pretty rough looking down the middle there.
Well, would you dress Kiro instead of somebody like Schaller maybe just for a game?
Yeah, but when you have Nikolai Goldobin being healthy scratched, I'd rather see Goldobin again in the lineup over a guy like Tim Schaller, because it's still frustrating seeing like Schaller, he only played like 5 minutes or something like that against the Oilers. It's just like, why do we have this guy in the lineup again when Goldobin's there? But yeah, it's frustrating. But Kiro's had a really good stretch here lately, because he has 37 points in 43 games with the Comets this year so far. But I think he's sort of like along like that Michael Chaput sort of line. So somehow he's been able to stay in the Montreal Canadiens lineup.
Your favorite player. Well, yeah. To me, when I hear Benning call these guys up, sometimes it just gives them an opportunity to make some NHL money, even if it's just for a week or two. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, too, the free agent class that Jim Benning signed a couple of years ago are all gone now. Delzato, Gagne, Burmistrov, and I'm missing one more.
Nielsen.
Which one? Nielsen, that's right. Yeah, Anders Nielsen. So all four of those guys are now gone. What is, I guess, touch on a couple things in the lineup, if you've got anything else, and let's wrap today's Vancouver Canucks show up.
All right, yeah. So just a couple stats to throw out there as well. The Canucks power play, when Pettersson's on the ice, has outscored the opposition 20-1, and when Pettersson has not been on the ice, they've outscored the opposition 7-6. That's a +1 differential when Pettersson is not on the power play. So it just shows how much of a difference it is to have him in the lineup, because like Alex Edler hasn't had a point since that Ottawa game. And a lot of the other guys have really struggled to put points up. Though Ben Hutton's on a 3-game point streak, which is nice after going quiet. And look at that one. Once when you move him off a pairing, off Eric Goodbranson, and put him with a guy like Troy Stecher, look at that. He starts putting up some points and starts playing a bit better there. But yeah, and another stat out there: the Canucks are 1-8 in shootouts under Travis Green. So I think that's one area of improvement, because like Markstrom just picked up his first ever shootout win this season against the Vegas Golden Knights. And I think it's just something that the Canucks can look to improve on in future, because it's just like I don't understand why Sven Baertschi wasn't used in the shootout, and if Goldobin was in the lineup, I think he would have shot as well, because they don't really have many like danglers on their team or anything, because when especially when you got Koskinen, who's like 6'7", you got to find some way to open him up, because he's not leaving too much room out there. But yeah, as we mentioned earlier,
that's where Thomas Vanek would be nice to still be in the lineup, yeah. And his breakaway slap shot goals that he used to take.
I actually still miss those. Those were the best. It's just like, you sort of disappear, and then all of a sudden you come down and score some crazy goal like that. But yeah, it's like, as we mentioned, Canucks are playing the Sabres tonight. Demko gained his first start, and I'll have all the highlights of tonight's games in the NHL up tonight on our Facebook page under B&B Hockey Talk. And if you just want to watch our videos, either if it's a B&B Hockey Talk, you can see our one from Monday where we update all around the NHL. you can find us on our YouTube page under the same name.
B&B Hockey Talk. And Pedersen not in the lineup tonight. Expected to see him on Sunday against Detroit. Although that is an afternoon game, I think that's one of the reasons why they might be playing Demko tonight. Just gives them a little bit of, I guess, pattern or familiarity with them. So, anyways, thanks for watching. We'll be back Monday with our Around the NHL segment. And everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy all the hockey that's out there. Lots of hockey that's being played this weekend. And if you're an NFL football fan, enjoy the Final Four weekend. So for Aaron and Matt, have a great evening, everyone.